Good morning, YouTube, and today we have for you my updated Kuriboh deck. This is a deck that I've been playing for quite a while. If you know me, I've put out multiple iterations of this particular build, but I want to throw out showcase for you the current iteration of it, and then especially on this mat, because I won it a while back, and I figured might as well do one more profile on it before I trade it off for something else. This is going to be a bit of a different setup for a profile. I'm just trying some things out. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll give you a little bit more as to the background and why I build this deck the way I do as we go, and then some at the end. So let's just hop right into it. Starting off with the monsters, you run a playset of the original OG Kuriboh. He himself, you discard, you take 0 points of battle damage from that attack. Old-fashioned original hand trap. Next, run a playset of the Wing Kuriboh. In tandem with the regular Kuriboh, you kind of just run these for nostalgia's sake. Wing Kuriboh is definitely justifiable to run at 3. Kuriboh you can bump down for some of the other stuff. I'm like, if I'm playing Kuribohs, I'm going to play 3 of the OG guys, so might as well. Next, you run 3 of probably the best Kuriboh in the deck, Kuriboh. Whenever your opponent declares an attack, whenever she's in the graveyard, you can banish her and special summon as many Kuribohs you have in the graveyard. And all these in here qualify for that Kuriboh aspect, because it just has to be part of the name, not the entire name, for those of you who are a little bit curious. And then additionally, she has the effect you can ditch her at the end of the battle phase to special summon monsters that were destroyed then, but you mostly are just going to be banishing her to bring out a bunch of them. And extending from that point. Next, run a playset of Relic Kuriboh. This is one I completely, underestimated. I love it in the deck because number 1, it gives you protection in grave. Number 2, if you're top decking after you've had some Relic Kuribohs in the graveyard, then you can just tribute it, special summon the Link Kuriboh, get an additional card, and a lot of times that advantage is what you need. And it even says Link Kuriboh in the name. Probably not in their intention when they were designing the card, but it's there. Next, we run a playset of Rainbow Kuriboh. Primarily, it's at 3 just for the sake of having enough lights, but it also allows it to be free special summoned when it's in the graveyard. So if you have a Relic Kuriboh in the grave, you can banish to protect it from being destroyed, and it has the ability to be a sort of a spellbinding circle. Next, run 2 of Spear Kuriboh. Spear Kuriboh is definitely one. If you know Duel Links, you probably know Spear Kuriboh. You can justify bumping down one of the Kuribohs and throw in a 3rd Sphere Kuriboh if you want to. But I like it in here, especially because you're not going to be attacking over some big defenses, and you want them to be in attack so you can go for more damage. You won't really be using, but it has the ability to be banished as a Bridge Roll tribute on the graveyard as an option. You have Clear Kuriboh. This is for effect damage. Again, same thing as others. It's just in here for kind of having another name and having another light attribute, and it looks cool, and they printed it as a secret, so I'm gonna throw it in there. Next, Perform Impel Kuriboh. Again, one of those things you could probably take out, throw in another Sphere Kuriboh, but Kuriboh gives you some life point addition. This came out in the Advent calendar last year, and I've enjoyed it. It's been fun. Next, running into the non-Kuriboh monsters, run a Kuriboh. Strangely enough, this is the highest normal summonable monster in the deck at 400. If you normal summon, you can special summon any of these guys from the graveyard, just one of them. And then you can go for your rank 1 plays, you can go for a link 2 play. It just generates some more advantage, and it's a great normal summon in the deck. Next, we run Jester Confit. Jester Confit, you could probably bump this guy up. He's so great. He's a free special summon, and then if he's around during your opponent's next turn, you can bump other monsters to 0. Fantastic card. It's been part of so many busted OTKs in the past. You can definitely, again, justify taking out some of these other cards to bump these guys up, but I like them in there because that way you don't see them all and they're not dead in your hand. Next, of the hand traps, in a deck full of hand traps, we run a playset of Effect Veiler and a playset of good old DD Crow. These are, yes, partially for the disruption. Effect Veiler negate effects, DD Crow to disrupt your opponent from bringing stuff back from the graveyard and interacting with their second hand, essentially. But they're primarily in here is to set up a light and a dark. If you haven't guessed, there are about a balanced number of lights and darks in this deck, so we're going for the chaos variations. But They are additionally just great hand traps to have, and I don't see me taking these out, especially with the way they act in the deck. Now for the Chaos portion, you run a playset of BLS, 1 Chaos Emperor Dragon Envoy of the End, and 1 Chaos Dragon Levineer. This number might seem a little bit bricky, but for how much you go through this deck, I feel I've never found it to be cloggy. And you can obviously go for some more of the, or from more than 1 BLS, and they're not ever dead in the hand with how much you dump stuff into the graveyard. They're great top decks, and they each have their own little niche. Justifiably, you could take out like a BLS for another Levineer, or even take out Chaos Emperor Dragon. I just like this in here just because if you have the Pendulum Chaos Emperor Dragon, that might be a better one, but I like this in here for the nostalgia fact, especially for the fact that I have this TLM version. Next, moving on to the spells. We run a very, very small spell and trap lineup. As you can tell, it's mostly monsters. We run a playset of Fluid Summoning Kuriboh. Gets you any of these cards here at the top. Never a dead card. Fantastic in the deck. And it's a quick play spell, so you can set it and use it for your opponent's turn. Mind Control and Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion to bring out the Thousand Eyes Restrict, and Mind Control to steal your opponent's monster. So these are essentially just some more disruption you can use because you're not going to be attacking over a lot. With this deck, you could, when these were at 3, definitely run them higher. I made the mistake of not doing so. Next, Card Destruction. This just essentially allows you to draw more cards. That's the basic thing. Sets up your Chaos play, sets up your Kuriboh, sets up your Kuriboh. Fantastic card in the deck. Foolish Burial, set up your Kuriboh and to set up your Chaos plays. 1 for 1. Searches you any of these cards. It's crazy. It's really crazy. The whole deck's level 1. So might as well, ditch a card from your hand to set up your graveyard and get a special summon. Okay, that works. 1 Monster Incarnado. Monster Reborn. Again, no need to justify Monster Reborn. 1 Chaos Space. I was trying this at 2. I was trying it at 3. Didn't really like it there. Definitely give it a shot at that ratio. But I just couldn't find something to take out per se to throw it in there. But that's going to wrap up our main deck. It's 40. It's pretty tight, but I feel this does what I designed it to, which is to be a Chaos variation to special summon a bunch of Kuribohs, and builds a lot with your extra deck, which we'll get here in now. Here, this extra deck we have are Leak Kuribohs, which you definitely want to run at a playset. Seeing the 3 in the deck, they're never dead. You always have level 1 monsters. They're special summonable from the graveyard as well. And just having that a little ability to make your opponent's attack always become 0. Fantastic, completely recurable. One Relinquished Anima. For sure, you definitely want to run this guy, because if your opponent makes the foolish mistake of putting something into their zone, you get their monster, bada bing, bada boom. 1 Underclock Taker. This is a little bit gimmicky. You might take this out for a Nightmare Cerebus, but I feel like if you point this to to a BLS, it makes that second attack worth even more damage, and so I feel it's justifiable to run here as is. Speaking of Nightmare Service, I do run a Nightmare Phoenix in the deck, but for some reason I can't find it at this moment. So just so you know, that's going to be the 15th card. 1 Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. I don't know why they felt the need to write Soldier twice. But anyway, he's going to go for some more of your extensions. You have plenty of times where you're going to have a full board that you can be able to go into him, so he's not justifiable, or he's not ever kind of dead in your extra deck, and I go for him so many times, and he's won me a lot of games with this. Next, run Appaloosa and Boral Sword. These are just some of your more, go bigger plays. I actually rarely go into these guys. Most of the rest of the deck takes care of what I want it to do. If not, you're already dead. We're on the 1 Fusion, 1000 Eyes Restrict because, just for your instant fusion. 1 Recital Starling, excuse me. This card I severely underestimated. It gives you a free search for your DD Crow, and it makes it so you can go for some games, because a lot of times you're going to have more life points than your opponent, and you can just crash, or you can just attack into something and make your opponent take the same damage that you just took. 1 Assembled Nightingale for the same kind of reason as you would for Recital, just doesn't give you the search ability. Still a great card. 154 Lionheart for when you have that 1 extra monster and you want your opponent to be the only one who takes the battle damage. Great, you want them in there. And the newest additions, we have a Numeron 1 and a C1. These guys, if you don't know, they're part of the big huge Numeron Gate. plays that you see, but the wonderful thing, number one, he can just sit by himself for a while and not be destroyed by battle. And then number C1, he can banish everything on the field and allow you to extend. It's really kind of a gimmick rather than otherwise, but it's definitely something that I've gone into, and it exists in here for plenty of justifiable reasons. And that's going to wrap up my Kuriboh deck profile. This is a deck that you do not necessarily go in with the intention of winning. Yes, it will get plenty of wins, and yes, I designed it to try and win. And you will get a lot more wins than what you think you will with this. The level 10 version is for sure the more consistent and better variant, but this will give you so many extra plays and allows you to survive for so much longer. It's not a make or break situation. You rarely will die turn 1 or 2 with this deck. Let me also iterate that this is for sure a going second build. You want to be able to have as much hand advantage as possible, and it's a reactive deck, which is inherently where this deck is at its weakest. It's reliant so much on your opponent that if your opponent has the outs and the ability to shut down your plays, there's not really a way to recover from that point. But it does exist as a potential option, and your extra deck is so much more stacked than it used to be that I feel you can definitely generate a lot of advantage. Just the ability to special summon so much onto the board and pump out so many monsters for free can definitely give you the advantage you need. I built this when I was really down at a regional. I was completely defeated. I'm like, I'm just going to build this random deck. Let's find it. Oh, Kuriboh. So I've always wanted to build it, so I built it from there. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about A, this deck, and B, what you think of this format. Obviously, you can't read the cards as much, but they stay on the field longer for you to be able to see. So let me know what you think, and anything that you would do in your variation. I'm probably not going to change it up too much, but you definitely want to put them down in the description, so that, or not description, the comments, so that other people who are building the same thing can have that to base it off of. Well, I hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching.